Some mysteries never end.
3 years after the disappearance of college student Lily Moreno, investigators reopened a forgotten interrogation recording connected to the case. At first, the audio seemed corrupted, static, distortion, fragments of missing dialogue. But according to forensic analysts, the file began changing every time it was played. Different words, different responses, new details that were never part of the original interrogation. And near the end of the recording, the suspect answered a question before detectives even asked it. Officially, authorities deny the recording exists, but according to archived reports, one copied version of the file was never recovered. And some investigators still believe the final playback contained information nobody was supposed to hear. The case began in October of 2019. 22-year-old Lily Moreno disappeared while driving home from her university campus outside Portland. Her vehicle was later discovered abandoned beside a wooded service road nearly 40 miles away. The driver's side door remained open. Her phone, wallet, and keys were still inside the car. But Lily herself was gone. No witnesses ever came forward. No surveillance footage captured her leaving the road. And despite a week-long search involving drones, dogs, and state police, investigators found nothing. The case quickly became one of Oregon's most discussed disappearances. Then, 6 months later, detectives arrested a local mechanic named Noah Kessler. Kessler had no criminal history, no violent background, and no confirmed connection to Lily Moreno. But investigators claimed cell phone tower data placed him near the area the night she vanished. During questioning, Noah remained unusually calm. According to detectives, he barely blinked during the entire interrogation. He answered every question slowly, carefully, almost like he already knew what investigators were going to ask. The interrogation lasted nearly 4 hours. But only one portion of the recording became important later. At exactly 2 hours, 13 minutes, and 17 seconds, something strange happened. The lead detective asked Noah where he was after midnight. But before the question fully finished, Noah quietly responded, "The road near Blackwater Creek." Detectives initially assumed he interrupted the question, but when audio engineers later isolated the recording, they discovered something disturbing. Noah's response began nearly 2 seconds before the detective actually spoke. At first, authorities blamed audio desynchronization, a corrupted timestamp, damaged export files. But forensic audio analyst Ethan Vale wasn't convinced. Vale specialized in digital evidence reconstruction. He had worked homicide investigations for over 9 years, and according to internal reports, he became obsessed with the interrogation file almost immediately. Because during playback analysis, he noticed something impossible. Each exported version of the recording sounded slightly different. Tiny changes at first, background noises, breathing patterns, missing static. But after several days, the changes became more obvious. Entire words began appearing inside the conversation. New phrases, different pauses. At one point, a sentence spoken by Detective Reed disappeared entirely from the file. Yet, nobody remembered removing it. Ethan began creating backup copies of every playback. Version 1, Version 2, Version 3. By the end of the week, he had archived 17 separate copies, and according to his private notes, no 2 versions were identical. Some contained faint sounds hidden beneath the static. Others included low whispers, impossible to fully understand. But version 11 disturbed him the most, because during a moment of silence, a second voice quietly appeared beneath Noah's breathing. The voice said only 4 words: she never left alive. The phrase was not present in earlier recordings. Investigators immediately checked the interrogation room footage. No additional person had entered, no hidden microphones were discovered, and Noah Kessler himself never moved his lips. But according to Ethan, the second voice sounded close, almost directly beside the microphone. That was the moment investigators reopened the Moreno case entirely. Search teams returned to Blackwater Creek. Ground-penetrating radar scanned nearby woodland areas. Divers searched the riverbanks. Still, nothing was found. Meanwhile, Ethan continued studying the recordings alone. Co-workers later described him becoming increasingly isolated. He stopped attending meetings, stopped answering calls. At night, he remained inside the forensic lab, replaying the audio repeatedly. Some employees claimed they heard conversations coming from his office long after midnight. But security footage showed Ethan sitting alone, always alone. Then, 3 weeks into the investigation, version 14 appeared. According to archived notes, this playback contained dialogue that had never occurred during the original interrogation. Detective Reed asked, "What did you do with her?" And Noah answered calmly, "You already searched the wrong side of the river." Investigators immediately returned to Blackwater Creek. This time, they searched the eastern riverbank nearly 2 miles downstream. And buried beneath collapsed brush, search teams discovered partial human remains. Dental records later confirmed the remains belonged to Lily Moreno. The discovery should have closed the case, but instead, everything became worse. Because according to official interrogation transcripts, Noah Kessler never made that statement. The sentence existed only inside version 14. Detectives now faced an impossible question. How could the altered recording reveal the correct search location if the dialogue had never officially happened? Some investigators believed Ethan manipulated the file himself. Others suspected advanced audio corruption caused false patterns. But Ethan denied both theories. According to his reports, he believed the recording was somehow rewriting itself, not randomly, but intentionally. Then came version 17, the final playback, the version authorities later sealed permanently. Ethan listened to the recording alone shortly after 2 in the morning. At first, everything sounded normal. Detective Reed entered the room. Noah sat silently beneath the fluorescent lights. The interrogation began exactly as before. But near the end of the file, something changed. The sound quality became clearer, sharper, almost newer. Then Detective Reed asked a question that never appeared in earlier versions. "Was anyone helping you?" Noah smiled. For the first time in the entire interrogation, he smiled. Then he quietly answered, "You still think this recording is from the past?" According to Ethan's handwritten notes, the room then became silent for nearly 14 seconds. No movement, no static, nothing. Then another voice entered the recording. Not Noah, not Detective Reed. A third voice, calm, male, unidentified. The voice said, "Play it again." And immediately afterward, the recording ended. The following morning, Ethan Vale failed to report to work. Co-workers discovered his forensic office completely empty. His laptop remained powered on, headphones still connected, audio software still running. But Ethan himself was gone. Security cameras showed him entering the building the previous night, but no footage ever captured him leaving. Authorities later sealed the interrogation archive. All 17 playback copies were reportedly destroyed, and officially, the altered recordings were dismissed as technical corruption. No charges were ever filed against Noah Kessler, and 2 months later, he disappeared as well. Today, very little information about the case remains online. Most references to the recordings have vanished, archived forum discussions disappeared years ago, and former investigators rarely discuss the case publicly. But according to one retired evidence technician, version 17 was never fully erased. He claimed Ethan secretly copied the final playback onto an external drive shortly before disappearing. The technician later described hearing a portion of the file himself. According to him, the final seconds of the recording contained one additional sentence omitted from every official report, a sentence spoken by the unidentified third voice. This isn't the only recording. Subscribe to Mysterious Scenarios for more digital mysteries, unexplained disappearances, and disturbing psychological crime stories hidden beneath the surface of reality. Because some cases are never solved, they're only forgotten.